Good morning, goddammit. Piss and Vinegar Day 97, Arm Wrestling Day. So today was a bit off. My camera kept cutting out on certain parts of the workout, so I apologize for that. And then also my side pressure wasn't quite there. So it seems like now, at the strength level I'm at now with my side pressure, I get pretty much 2 to 3 weeks of being able to do it consistently once a week. And then I get basically 1 week a month where, or 1 week every 3 or 4 weeks where I have to basically just skip side pressure. I was going for it today, tried progressing, and it was just too heavy. My elbow was hurting too much, and I went, cool, that's just a bit too much. So next week I should be ready to go again. And but apart from that, the workout was pretty good. Strength is still going up. But also, well, the other issue was this fucking bench that broke on me. Made it harder to do a bunch of different exercises. So I introduced a new exercise. I didn't mind it. It was pretty good. It wasn't super easy to standardize it, or it wasn't really standardized perfectly. You'll see it in a bit. But it was fine for what it was. It was just kind of to try to get more finger stimulus rather than a wrist movement, because the movement I do here is very wrist heavy, and the next one is more to get into the fingers and get more of a burn and a pump. But anyway, the topic for today is that I am now going into a maintenance phase. So I've done sort of an experiment in the last 2.5, maybe 3 months, give or take 2 to 3 months. I've done a very rapid, fast bulk because I don't want to be cutting, or I don't want to be bulking rather, through a very hot, fiery fire season or summer in Australia this year. So it's going to be a lot of like 40-degree days or 110 Fahrenheit days. And I don't want to be in a fluffier state when that occurs, because it's just going to be too fucking hot. And on top of that, I want to then cut through summer. That way I'm ready to do a long bulk through autumn and winter, which where I live is a very cold climate. I don't want to be cutting because I fuck up the phases by bulking for too long through summer and then cutting through autumn and then having a short bulk through winter. And so this is just basically a quick, short bulk. That way, partially as an experiment and also to really fix my cutting and bulking phases. And yeah, so far it's been pretty good. I've gained, I guess, about 10 to 12 kilos. Some of that's been fat, obviously, but not too much of it. I've built quite a bit of strength and muscle. I went from the leanest that I was in my cut maybe 3 months ago. I was 76 kilos. Now I'm 88 kilos. So not too bad, but I'm also getting to the point where I have horrible fat deposits on my chest, and I started to basically grow bitch tits. And it's not like a high estrogen gynecomastia type of thing. I've gotten plenty of blood tests in the past and varying levels of testosterone, but generally on the higher end, it's anywhere between 7 to 900 depending. And then estrogen has been always perfectly fine. So it's definitely not like a gyno thing where when I'm getting higher in body fat, my estrogen's going up. It's just that my body fat percentage, at a certain body fat percentage, around 18%, I start growing bitch tits. So it's just a genetic predisposition. My father had it. I saw an old photo of him the other day, and he just had this fat storage that just gives you like basically what is like a 70 or 80-year-old man's chest. It's fucked. So I say typically 10 to 20% is the range that you want to bulk from. So no leaner than 10 as a natural, no fatter than 20 as a natural. But for me, somewhere more like 17 to 18 just because of that fat deposit. I could keep going, and the rest of my body's fine. Like I've still got, mad veins on my arms. I'm still pretty defined in my arms and shoulders, but my torso holds fat a little bit more, and my chest specifically. So for cosmetic reasons, I'm not bulking any further, but also time frame reasons, I'm not bulking any further. I'm hoping that in the next 2 or 3 years of bodybuilding that I can develop a big enough lower chest that it kind of offsets this fucked up fat deposit, or gives kind of more definition to these fat deposits. But not getting my hopes up, because my pecs just simply do not grow. No matter what I've done, they have a very hard time growing. No matter how strong I get, no matter what training system I do, what exercise, etc., they're destined to be relatively small. But hopefully I can stumble across some holy grail of chest exercise or way of training chest that allows my chest to offset these fucked fat deposits. So yeah, and the thing is, this maintenance phase, like, it's not going to be a recomp. I'm not going to be losing fat and gaining muscle, although I might be a little bit. It's more going to be a very, very mild surplus where I just generally stay around 88 kilos. And the thing is, in a maintenance phase at the end of your bulk, you can make a lot of muscular and strength gains in such a well-fed state, because it's not like a maintenance phase at the end of your cut. The maintenance phase at the end of my cut at 76 kilos is like 2,000 calories. 2,000 calories is very difficult to get adequate protein and adequate micronutrients to, fuel my energy and training, and like get the right carbohydrate to protein to fat ratio without losing one or the other, due to not having enough to really, what's the word? I'm blanking here, but allocate. I can't allocate, the adequate protein, carbs, and fats at 2,000 calories. One of them has to suffer, and when one suffers, you lose some anabolism, you lose some protein synthesis, you lose some sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, you lose some hormone profiles. So like the carbs, you'll lose the sarcoplasmic hypertrophy if you lower them. The fats, you might lose some of the ideal hormone production. Protein, very obviously, you will not be able to repair the muscles as efficiently. So at 2,000 calories, you're not going to build as much muscle. And you're both a maintenance, and both really maintenance, you won't be able to build as much muscle as a bulk. But my maintenance right now at 88 kilos is like 3,000. And at 3,000 calories, I'm eating plenty of carbs, proteins, and fats. I'm getting plenty of micronutrients. So you can still build a lot of muscle in the end of your bulk by adding a maintenance phase. And this is something I don't see people do as much. I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, yeah, you won't build the same muscle as if you were bulking, but there's no point, bulking for 4 to 6 months, for example, and then going, all right, straight into the cut. My bulk's over. No, as long as you didn't get too fat, and then all of a sudden you need to rapidly cut because you look like shit, like a certain YouTuber that I can't remember the name of. You can then maintain for a month or two after that, and maintain and be in a well-fed state and make even more strength and muscular gains. And you might even main gain or recomp, where like you lose fat and gain muscle at the same time, because again you're in a maintenance or a ever so slight deficit. Rather than eating 3,000 calories or 3,100 for a tiny surplus, you eat 2,950, and that has you in such a mild deficit that you don't really notice it, but it allows you to kind of main gain or recomp, and that might be the goal here for me. I might end up recomping a little bit. I might lose a bit of fat and gain a little bit of muscle. Maybe lose a kilo of fat, gain a little bit of muscle, and that's great. And that then makes the cutting process easier because I start from a leaner state, meaning that I don't have to cut as far, which is part of why I don't want to bulk any further, other than the cosmetic parts and the time frame part. If I bulk to say 92 kilos from here, I very well could, and I wouldn't look that bad. My fucking chest would look like shit, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. But then I'd have to cut for an extra month or two. So you don't want to get too fat on your bulk, because it'll make the cut even longer. And then my cut would be going into autumn, which is a cold season that I want to then be bulking. So very calculated in this approach. It was a fast bulk, an experiment to fix my time frame, and now I'm in the maintenance phase for a month or two, and then you'll see a cut. So yeah, and then there'll be a very long bulk next year, 6 to 8 months through autumn and winter, and maybe through like the end of summer or the tail or the start of next spring or whatever it is. But for you Americans, this might be like, what the fuck is he talking about? We have different seasons in Australia, so everything's reversed. So that will be what I'm going to be doing. And yeah, it'll be cool to see. I'm curious to see how much more strength and muscle I gain through this maintenance phase. I have an inkling that the strength will continue going up plenty. The muscular gains, maybe not as much, although I could see more definition and just maybe like an extra half inch or an inch to different areas, depending. I'm not going to grow a full inch to my forearms or anything, but maybe like an extra inch to the quads or half inch to the biceps, etc. So I've never really done a maintenance phase after a bulk before, but it makes a lot of sense in my head. So I'd be curious to see what it does for me. And with high intensity, it seems like a lot of people do just kind of main gain throughout. It's kind of almost like a logical approach that a lot of high intensity people take, where they just kind of do maintenance rather than bulking and cutting. And personally, I don't necessarily see all the logic in that. I can see some of the logic in the sense that it's like you don't keep fluctuating weight and potentially fucking up your cutting and bulking phases. You just, rather than making these big leaping bounds, or you just slowly gain over time. So rather than, say, gaining 7 kilos of muscle in 1 year by doing a huge 15 kilo bulk and then a 7 kilo cut, you would just build maybe 5 kilos over a main gain phase or a very slight surplus. So that might be something that I do in the future, but what I'm doing right now is basically that at the tail end of my bulk. So it's kind of a combination of both ideas: cutting, bulking, plus main gaining, all in one. I probably won't do this at the end of my cut, because again, at the end of my cut, I'm eating like 2,000 calories in the maintenance, and that's not really that many calories, not enough protein, carbs, and fats, and not enough micronutrients. But at the end of the bulk, it makes a lot of sense. I'm sure some people do this. So anyway, yeah, that's it for today. See you guys tomorrow for more piss and vinegar. Bye.